Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Sleep and Relax ASMR. Today we'll be diving into the Netflix original series 13 Reasons Why, a series produced by Selena Gomez, by the way. And I'll give you my opinions on what I liked, what I loved, disliked, hated, maybe. And I'll give it to you on we'll do a 5-star rating, I suppose. Just to sort of add some sort of objective standard that I'll hold myself to. But, yeah. Before getting into my thoughts on the series, I will, of course, start with the plot. I won't be providing any spoilers. Maybe I'll do a spoiler review in the future. Who knows? If it's something that you in the audience would like to hear. But we'll start with the plot and then make our way through the things that I thought were positives of the show, the negatives, and again, my sort of overall opinion of the series. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So the plot goes like this. Clay Jensen, a quirky, quote-unquote, average high schooler, returns home from school to find a mysterious package in the mail. And he discovers the package contains 7 double-sided tapes used by Hannah Baker, a classmate who recently committed suicide. And Hannah recorded these tapes shortly before committing suicide, and each tape details a reason why she did what she did. The tapes were sent to other people before Clay had a chance to start listening. And this is sort of what the series gives us at the beginning of episode 1. And throughout episodes 1 through 13, the viewers discover who each tape corresponds to and what that person did that caused Hannah to do what she did. That's all I'll say, so as to not spoil the rest of the show for those of you who haven't necessarily seen it yet. I thought overall there were quite a few things. I guess we'll start now with the positives. So I won't go into the plot anymore just because, again, I don't want to spoil it. But overall, I thought there were quite a few things that I found to be really great about this series. Really positive. And I'll start here, which is number 1. The protagonists, Clay Jensen and Hannah Baker. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. They're charismatic, charming, and just perfect for what they were trying to go for. The lead actors, Dylan Minnette, maybe it's Minet. I apologize, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name, but Dylan Minnette, who plays Clay, and Catherine Langford, who plays Hannah. They're just both incredible in my eyes. Clay's character is just another high schooler that fits in between. I should just say fits in between. He's not an outcast, but he's also not one of the more popular kids in school. He has his interests and he gets along just fine, but he isn't particularly noteworthy. I just thought Dylan Minnette, or Minet, maybe someone can tell me how to actually say his name, but the actor who plays this character, he just does such a solid job of selling Clay Jensen to the viewers. And the same goes for Catherine Langford, again, who plays Hannah. Hannah is this quirky, charming, witty, teenager. And as a viewer, I really believed the character of Hannah Baker. I thought Catherine Langford, while viewing the show, it was like that's Hannah Baker, right? I never made that distinction, so I thought she did a great job. What I really loved, was neither lead protagonist seemed fake or forced. They were who they set out to be, and I believed it every step of the way. Really, in terms of casting, I think the show nailed it for the most part. But it's Clay Jensen and Hannah Baker that get most of the screen time. And they were just fantastic. I thought they just did such a great job overall at playing the roles that they wanted to play. I thought they did great. Frankly, overall, I thought all the actors in the series were great. I thought the characters of Justin Foley, Bryce, Jessica, Hannah's parents, all of them were well developed, and I believed all of them. And I think that's just an essential part of good film or television. Any sort of creative work. It's you sort of want to feel like you're seeing real people, even if you're conscious that and aware that it's a piece of fiction. But the casting for most of the characters I thought were great. I thought the acting in general was a very high point in the series. There was only one character that I just thought came off as a little phony, maybe, a little unbelievable, a little forced. It was a character of Alex Standall. I've discussed this with others who have seen the show so far, and I haven't been alone in my assessment. I just thought his character, whether it be overacting or pushing an actor beyond his limits, I just didn't think that character was clear with his motivations, and I just frankly didn't like him. I didn't think he was up to par with the other leads. But it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen that in a series with so many young actors and actresses, you're not necessarily going to hit the nail on the head with each and every one of them. Again, overall the acting is very good, but he in particular was just the only character that I can remember not being a huge fan of, let's say. Something else that I really enjoyed about the show or the series was the pacing. I thought it was quick, to the point in most cases, and easy to follow. Each tape is one main character that you discover as the show goes along, and as each tape is played, the viewer becomes more invested in the story and more curious to know the characters, and certainly more interested in knowing exactly how Hannah perceived that particular character. How she perceived that particular character played a role in her suicide. Start to finish, I was pretty intrigued and pretty hooked on figuring out who was next. Why did that character have such a deep impact on Hannah's outlook on life? And how did it all sort of come together as well? Because again, it's how these 13 individuals, their collective actions, not all the individual actions are necessarily terrible in isolation, but it's sort of this accumulation, this when you bring all of them together, it's what she sort of describes as having one collective impact on her. So because of the way the show is paced and made, with each episode representing one character, excuse me, and of course one tape, you get more invested as the series moves along, just because you're learning of, okay, that's interesting what Justin Foley did. Okay, now we're discovering Jessica. Now we're discovering Alex. Now we're discovering. So well paced, and from start to finish, I thought got better as the series went along as a result. So that was certainly another element that I really liked. Let me see what else I have here. I would say a third item or topic or thing, however you want to call it, that I thought was really positive about the series was the deeper purpose behind the series. Yes, the series is fiction. It's based on a novel that, to my knowledge, isn't rooted in any real events. But the series goes beyond just providing entertainment. It attempts to bring forth these difficult topics such as bullying, mental health, and suicide, and how negative actions have negative consequences. It teaches us that we need to be conscious about how our actions and how even the smallest of things can, in conjunction with other factors, really be the deciding factor in large and difficult and negative consequences. Whereas most series go for strict entertainment factor, 13 Reasons Why makes a deliberate intention, or it has a deliberate intention of trying to get viewers to discuss these subjects, to bring it to light, or bring them to light, I should say, and to do its part to raise awareness. To sort of back up what they're trying to go for, they have a series called Beyond the Reasons, also available on Netflix, of course, where Selena Gomez, the actors, the crew that were involved with the series, they discuss the importance of understanding bullying, understanding mental health, understanding how deliberate kindness can go a long way, so on and so forth. They try to further the discussion. I thought it was a nice touch. I thought it was entertainment with a deeper meaning, with a deeper purpose. And it made it more enjoyable for me, to be honest. Mindless entertainment is great, and it can be a lot of fun, and there's really nothing wrong with sort of sitting back and enjoying entertainment in whatever form. But sometimes entertainment that can also move touchy subjects and serious matters forward to try to bring awareness, to try to make a difference. It's something that should be praised, in my opinion. And again, the series, that was probably, aside from the protagonist and aside from the acting that I thought was solid, aside from the way the series looked, which I thought was very solid, aside from the pacing and the way they structured the show, which I thought was really great, this what I'm describing now, in my opinion, is sort of what made it more enjoyable. Is again, it's not just the entertainment. It's, there's some serious subjects that we're going to be depicting throughout the series, and we want it to hit hard, and we want it to be something that you're discussing afterwards. Overall, I thought it was something that should be praised, that I'm praising now, of course, in my review, and that overall I thought added to the quality of the show. So definitely a big thumbs up there. In terms of things I didn't like about the series, to be frank, there weren't too many things I didn't like about the show. One complaint I've heard from others is the storyline isn't one that they can really follow or believe in. If Hannah Baker is witty and creative enough to come up with this elaborate scheme where she creates these tapes, sends them out, etc., then is that someone who would really do what she did? For me, it's difficult to really pass that as a negative. That particular detail of, would someone go through the trouble of recording the tapes, and is it really believable? Look, I've never suffered through mental health issues. I've never been in that position. So it's difficult for me to treat that as a criticism as someone who hasn't been in that position. And additionally, and really it comes down to this, do you enjoy the story that's being told or not? Ultimately, this is a piece of fiction. Ultimately, it's created for entertainment. Yes, with some interesting, deep stories that it's trying to uncover and sort of bring forward for viewers to discuss afterwards. But it's still fiction, and a creative work is just that. It's creative, it's creative work. For viewers to think she wouldn't actually do that, is it a fair criticism? For me, not really. Not really. For others, I can understand why they would sour on the storyline because I can get where they're coming from. We understand it's fiction, but the most convincing stories, in my opinion, are those that you can sort of get behind the world that you're viewing. Really, the best pieces of content in general, they're just those that make you feel like you're actually viewing something real. And while I can understand the complaint that it's not a believable sort of action for someone in that position to take, to actually record the tapes and send them out and all that. For me, I can understand that position, but again, it's a piece of entertainment. If you're willing to believe and enjoy a series like Harry Potter or The Hunger Games, that obviously have a lot more, fictional elements in them than 13 Reasons Why, then I don't see why something like what Hannah Baker did was so unbelievable and really took away from the series. I can understand the criticism. It's just not one that I really follow along with. To be frank, the only criticism I really had for the series was I thought that the character of Alex Standall was very poor. I thought the actor who I actually don't have his name available right now. I should have looked it up before the review, but I just didn't think he was very good, to be totally frank. I just thought he was the weak link throughout the show. I didn't understand what he was going for. Was he angry, dismissive, moody teenager? Yeah, I suppose so. Was he, I don't know, righteous, self-aware teenager that can sort of hold himself accountable and chastise others for not wanting to be accountable? I guess so. I didn't like his character, and I didn't like the way he was played throughout the series. I thought it was overacting, and I thought it was sometimes cringeworthy of sort of, it was a lot of acting by physical movement. And so it was distracting, to be frank. So, and I'm not the only one, others that have seen the series also, for the most part, weren't totally enthused with Alex Standall as a character or the actor's portrayal of said character. But again, that's a negative for me. The rest of the acting in the series, in my opinion, is quite good. It's actually very good. So that was one clear negative for me, Alex Standall, and his sort of acting throughout the series. All in all, 13 Reasons Why is a well-produced, well-acted, a well-thought-out series with strong performances by their lead characters. Or lead actors, I should say. It's an interesting storyline that I bought into from episode 1, and with deeper messages being intertwined in sort of the fabric of the show, I enjoyed it more and more as the series went along. Out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it a 4 to 4.5 stars. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the best series I've ever seen. But for the reasons mentioned earlier in this review, I overall really liked it, and I would highly recommend it to anyone looking for a series to invest in on Netflix. What did you guys think of the show? Do you agree? Do you disagree with my assessment? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. You can get in touch with the show at hello@SleepandRelaxASMR.com. Thanks again for listening, and as always, take care.